Am I right?
Yep.
So I'm going into the end. I've got a 0.9 gauge. Now that's hard there, I've pushed it. Then manoeuvre with your index finger and thumb, push it again. Keep pushing, and you'll hit that junction. Keep pushing along. Oh, now the wire's bent. Okay, now once it's bent, that's a slight problem because we've lost the traction of the wire. That's going to slow me down. All right, I'll stop at that point because it's got quite tight. Quite often, it just eases through. The wire's up to about there at the moment, but I'd like it right to the top. So we're going to insert that in. Good water source, but that ensures that the top is going to stay. Now if I put that behind, just slightly behind, what we're doing is we're linking that and this still within this one main line. All right, we've got some Ming fern, so we're going to mix our textures, and we might decide to come in with the Ming through the Monstera that way, and coming forward through the Monstera this way. And what that's doing is creating a line following the Monstera. We've got the cross line of the leather fern, so that's working quite nicely for us. If you want to bring in, you can see the tips have a little bit of burgundy happening here, then it would be possible for us to look at another foliage, such as this one, and that would give us a little contrast underneath. And where are we going to head with that? We're going to head over to the other side. So that's an underlayer, and then I'm going to come across on this side, flip that around, and it's underneath, but we could also choose to go on top. So that's a cross line coming on that side. If you want to show the colour on the top, then do so. Follow your line, pierce through the leaf, angle it, and then you go. There's a little blunt cut there we want to get rid of. So that again is just creating a colour contrast coming across. There's enough foliage in this, but if we wanted to do a contrast foliage, if we look at these tropical leaves, that's quite bold. We can come in behind, and that's framing, but it's working with the same lines. And a very quick way of folding a leaf, if you cut the end, come across and pierce through. So I'm actually piercing through the leaf. So I've just got that like that, and that just allows us to come in to have a turned leaf coming through into the design. We can also come forward with that. If a leaf is too big, cut it, trim it up, come across. And you can see there is a rip in that leaf already. If we came across, we can do a pierce, and I can just do a little insertion already. Feed that through, saves you wiring it, which is going to save you time. Isn't that clever? So that can also come through. I'll pierce that through the leaf. Now that's given us a really interesting texture in that section there. All right, we're almost getting to the stage of sort of what we're going to do with focal. But I'm just going to do a little bit of another texture across here, which is a little bit of eucalypt. Because this is a line bowl, so we're just working on multiple lines happening here. So I'm coming underneath with the eucalypt, and then we're going to come across directly onto the other side. Now all your little offcuts can be used with this, provided you cut into your junction area. So come in, and you can actually do a little build-up of texture coming in on that side. Right, so our line bowl is developing. There's such interesting little components. You can see the tops of the ivy. But if this goes in, we're again deciding where do we want this. Do we want it to come forward? And if so, are we going to come back? Right, it's a fairly large piece. That's following the line of the eucalypt. So therefore, we'll take another piece here. We're going to come right through and keep that going through onto the other side. Alright, so this has got a little bit more boldness because it is at the front. If you wanted to step that up, you can. So if I wanted to just bring a little bit of that coming upwards into the design like this, bringing it up, we can do so. Now we've made provision for our focal to sit right there, and because it's a darker colour will bring a brighter colour forward. So let's put that through the leaf, piercing through, and position it, and that is actually our focal bloom. Right on this axis here, it's linking back into this axis here, which leads us up to here. So everything is working in line directions. Right, now we've got strength and dominance coming through here. Open up our workstation. Those leaves are all usable, so they're fine for our next one. Now we've got some green tricks. There's some short pieces here. Cut them on the angle. We're going to put those in down towards the side, but we're going to put them into a line. Check your foliages. Now this is actually working through on the line. We've got a little bit of nice colour contrast. And I'm going to step those through over to the other side, which is quite a strong dramatic line, but I'm going to make this line shorter. So this is going to be like the seesaw effect of the heavier person on the other side, which they have to move closer towards the axis. So that's the stronger part of the line there, and this is the extension of the line. Now you notice this is slightly wider and this is slightly closer in. That's why this is closer in and why this is moving out. So we've got an interesting bowl happening here, all with lines. Carnations, either love them or hate them, but they are back in fashion. If we choose to bring some colour down the line, that's your smallest of the stems. Just opening those up a bit. The amount of spacing that you may wish to put in here, it really determines how many you want to use. So that's pulling the colour down. And I've brought it down into a rhythm line. So it's quite close to the axis, flowing its way down through here. Alright, now, there's a little bit of Hypericum, which is rather nice. That's quite lovely for a contrast. If we bring that in over here, even though it's got a bit of an apricot-y tinge to it, if we bring that in over there, we're going to bring the line across over here. Now, if we wanted to extend the line out further, this is a little bit too big. The foam is there. So we'll take that one off, but I'm not going to waste it. I'll use him in there. Find a spot for that and put it in lower. That's a little extension of that line coming across. So with some moss, taking our wire, preferably offcuts of wire, cut them into sections, into a hairpin, take your moss. Now, remember I said that it could act as a conductor? Okay, I'm going to use that as a filler, but I'm actually going to tuck it up so that it's actually sitting right up underneath the bowl. So therefore, if there's any moisture, there's a space there for watering, and it's going to go down into that space. So we take our wire, hairpin through, and we're just going to go around our bowl and double check if there's any spots that just require any area of filling. And sometimes it could be that you use off-cut leaves or you might just use any small little offcuts. But this bowl has been completely made in lines. So we'll just take it off its base, clean our table, and your final thing would be to actually give it a spray of water. If there's any botrytis in your flowers, you're not going to do that. But please remember, these flowers drink through their heads as well as through their stems. And from a client's perspective, any moisture sitting on flowers will always make it look nice and fresh. So you now have a complete line bowl, and if we look at it from different directions, you can see the depth and how the lines connect. And there's your completed item.